We talk about people's vulnerability as one of the reasons why people might not provide personalised support in the community. So can you talk a bit about that? Like, are people more vulnerable or less vulnerable in the community?
Well, our experience has been that people that have friends are the safest people in the world. People that are in kind of, like Scott mentioned earlier, kind of a protected environment. Those are the people that are the least safe, and that's been proven.
Why is that?
Because there's no accountability at all in those environments. Those environments are somewhat protected, and historically bad things have happened in locked wards and facilities because they're insular, and there's no natural flow of people in and out that keep people safe. So our experience has been that since people are out and about and have a life and have people that check on them, those are the safer people.
There was a guy who was part of the group home, and when the group home was disbanded, he and this one person ended up having a really nice relationship, and he became the home provider for this person. And this person had a lot of behaviors. He would hit people. He'd run. He'd throw stuff. He'd lock himself in the car, in the van, and a lot of behaviors. And I remember, and he was on my team, and I remember talking to the home provider, and he goes, I gotta say, yesterday we went to the store, and my guy he wasn't in a really good mood, and we were grocery shopping, and he started getting a little upset, and I felt so bad because we've had so many years, all those behaviors that he used to exhibit have disappeared, but he exhibited them again, and he goes, I feel so bad about it, and I had to leave. I had to leave with him, and we started walking out of the store, and I realized I still had my carriage, and I hadn't bought the groceries yet, and so I spun around, and I went back, and one of the checkout people was at the door, and I pushed the cart to them, and I said, I'm real sorry, and he goes, he's having a bad day. It's fine. It was no big deal, because they know each other. They knew each other. So what was a quote of behavior when he was in a group home was just he had a bad day, like we all do. Yeah. And that person ended up checking out the groceries for him and ran the groceries to the car for them to take off. So he's a person who's known, and he's a person who is safe because he's known. He's safe because he's known. The community knew him,
right,
which was neat. It was a great. But the home provider felt terrible at the moment. It's all of these years, and all of a sudden he just had a bad day. And the guy was right. The checkout person was right. He just had a bad day. There's not a big deal. In the group home, it would.
But that is a very real issue that many families ask us about. Is it safe? And the difficulty of any kind of program is you cannot guarantee safety. Well, you can talk to them about they will have relationships with people, and relationships, genuine relationships, do protect people, but no program, and particularly the ones that are segregated, congregated, can protect people safely. It's just hidden more.
There's someone on my team who has a real eating disorder. He'll eat himself till he really gets sick. And he and the home provider and someone else that lived there went to a restaurant, and he wanted to sit with this other person by himself. And so the home provider said, sure, go ahead. And the home provider and his family sat at another table. And so it was time to order, and this guy who has trouble overeating said, I will have 3 of these and 4 of these, to the waitress, and the home provider leaned over and said, no, he'll have just the one. He'll have that one order. What would you like to drink? I'll have 6 drinks, please. And the home provider said, no, he's going to have just the one. He's just going to have the one. And then they started eating. And then he started eating other people's food, and the home provider went over and was like, you got to eat your own food. Well, the wait staff noticed that and called the police and said that this home provider was abusive to this guy because he's hindering him from having what he wants for dinner.
Yeah.
And so the police called me and said, I got this report that, you know, this person is being abusive to this person who's in his care, as he called it. And I had to describe, you know, that this is because of an eating disorder. So the very thing, he was, you know, this person was having dinner with the person he wanted to have dinner with, but the community was looking out for this guy.
The community does call us,
And they call us
which
all
is
the
great,
time.
and that's what we want. So
how did families go with the change?
Initially,
initially, not real well. No, change is very hard for everyone, and this was a dramatic change. So you know, in meeting with the families, they weren't all positive about it at all.
there was a change in the way we're providing services, and it
all
was a
the
change of staff.
Yeah. So
They developed relationships and trust with the older staff that were there that ended up leaving.
So the first 6 months were a real test, because if it didn't go well, you know, we would have been in trouble. But they did see a change, and they did begin to trust us over time. But it was baby steps, you know, because you know they'd had this service for so many years the way it was that you know we had to earn our credibility, and it took at least 6 months before the phone calls started to die down. In the beginning, it was a little rough, but you kind of have to wait it out and keep your vision focused.
The very first week we started, there was a letter to the editor in the paper saying bad things about you.
Yes, there was. Thank you for bringing that up on tape.
I still have it on my wall.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
There was, it's true. So you have to endure that, because you know, when you do know it's the right thing, you have to persevere and press forward. And it isn't easy. So.
But you believe in the values. You believe
Right.
we believe it's the right thing. And you know the wonderful thing, we've seen the changes, and we've done it so long. Like Mark said, we hardly notice now.
We forget to celebrate now, because
Yeah.
it happens regularly. And in the beginning, yeah, there was a lot of celebration of the change, but now, you know, it is kind of a proven way of supporting people. So you know, oh, of course, it's expected.
Yeah.
So how many people does Common Ground support now?
108 when we left.
We think there's at least one or two more people
More.
now. I think there's one more person on my team
Yeah.
as of yesterday.
So,
I wonder
yeah.
how they're doing. I'm here.
Yeah. 108.
Okay, there's just a couple of little questions that are a bit separate from that, like
Okay.
from the the transition of business. And maybe you could answer them separately. Is what does social inclusion mean to you?
Does social inclusion mean to me? Do you want me to take this question?
I guess you go first.
Well, you both get a turn.
Oh,
We both
okay.
answer it separately.
So I can't just go what he said.
Yeah.
Social inclusion.
Well, you said it's a term that's used a lot.
Yep.
Right, and you see it a lot in literature, in rhetoric. Like, what does it actually mean?
I mean, for me, the first thing what I thought was social inclusion means you're a citizen of your community. You're a citizen, and the term citizen means that you have inputs, you have a say, you take the community, you receive from the community, you give to the community, you're a part of the community. So social inclusion, I mean, I'd like to think it's that you are a contributing member of your community, and you are, and sort of like we talked about the funeral, of the person's funeral, that when you remove yourself from the community, there is a hole there because you have been a part of it. You have helped be a part of this community, the sense of community, this thing that's community, and when you're not there, it's diminished. The community's diminished. So social inclusion for me means that if you're not a part of the community, there's a diminishment of that community because you're not there. So, and I think all of us want to feel that if we're not there, there's a hole. You know, and if you think about people that receive services, traditional services, when they're not there, there's no hole because they're not a part of it. you know, so I think that's sort of what we need to do is to help people become out there. They are missed. There's a hole there. There's not, the community's diminished for them not being there. I think.
That's pretty good.
I don't know.
I don't know if you noticed, when I have a superpower, I can have the light go on and
Yeah,
off
it's
without
amazing.
I noticed that.
It's my special gift. Do you want me to answer the same question?
If you could.
Okay.
So maybe you can start by saying, you know,
Oh, social
frame the
inclusion.
question.
Okay.
Yeah.
What social inclusion means to me is kind of our name, Common Ground. It is sharing, you know, it's sharing the common ground of the community. So social inclusion is a big word for just being equal and sharing that equality and assisting people that need a little help, because we all need a little help. Like Scott's colorblind, and in the morning his wife helps him get dressed because his colors can get all confused.
So when she's mad at me, I look really strange because she dresses me very strange.
So, because we all have needs where we need help, a little help here and there. I need help ironing because I'm not so good at that. So but we all need to help each other, and the people we serve, you know, it's just a little more obvious sometimes that they need a little assistance, but we all need it. And so the people we serve are no different. It's just, you know, they need to have those opportunities, and a lot of times society does not want to include them. And it's our job really to bring a system to get out of that, out of those kind of, we call it prison break, get them out of those places that they're imprisoned and free them into environments where they can be included in everyday life. So that's kind of the way I see it.
Great.
Any more questions?
I think that's good.
Do we have any questions for her?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. You
sit here.
can make up your own questions. Is there anything else you'd like to say or add? Maybe that's a good way of...
I don't know. We've been talking a long time. We're almost up to
Yeah, I think we've...
covered everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we talked the longest of anybody?
Not yet.
Oh, so we still have more time? When I was 12 years old, there was this bully in town, and he...
Yeah.
So how have you enjoyed